Hello, friend. How are you doing? I hope your day has been well. My day is actually just getting started. And what better way to begin a day than with some morning journaling? So grab your journal and a nice warm beverage, and let's plan for the month of May. Side note, I don't actually drink anything other than water and the occasional seasonal hot chocolate when it's getting super chilly outside. But when I see people drinking a nice warm coffee or tea in the morning, it always emanates this feeling of coziness. For this month's theme, I want to capture that warm and cozy feeling. While warmth and coziness are typically feelings that I associate with the wintertime, I think that in a time of such uncertainty and craziness in the world, comfort is what I seek the most. So yes, I'm going back to my roots with this pink color scheme. I'm sorry. I'm trying not to let it get too repetitive, so I'm pairing these warmer pink tones with other colors of golden yellow and some warm reds and oranges maybe. Just very, very cozy and cute. Because this color combo makes me feel very happy and reminds me of sunshine. And there's nothing I love more than the natural warmth and comfort that sunshine brings. It feels like I'm cozy and wrapped up in a warm blanket or something. I really like what I did with this cover page. I wanted to try out using a piece of colored paper for the background just to add some variance in my journal. I also went ham with the collaging this time around because I think it just looks a lot more interesting than having one image for the cover. In collaging, the process of it all is just so fun. It can be quite a challenge sometimes though. I actually redid this page earlier because I didn't like how it had initially been arranged. Something was off, the balance was not there, but I redid it and now I love how the final result turned out. On the adjacent page, I wrote out a quote on this lined paper, but unfortunately the camera cut off just as I began to write. I had zoomed it in and it stopped recording. But the quote is from a book I just started reading called Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, and it's all small stuff, which is by Richard Carlson, and it's a very funny title, and it's a very true title that resonates a lot with me and my lifestyle. It's a self-help book about learning to be more relaxed and less stressed out about life, because all those small things that you may worry about are oftentimes just insignificant in the grand scheme of life, which is something that is a great reminder. I constantly stress about everything and anything, which is very bad. Although I haven't finished the book yet, but so far it's been a good read. Here we have our lovely monthly overview page. I am back to using a vertical setup for this calendar because I don't have a whole lot planned out for this month. The pandemic has obviously cut down on most of my previous plans, and the end of my college semester is on the 8th. So I'm just going to be feeling it out after that, figuring out how I want to spend my time now that I will have a lot more of it, which I am honestly kind of excited for. I have a few projects I want to work on this summer, so perhaps I can get started on some of that in the latter half of this month. Also, I do realize that I was making one too many rows for this calendar here. When I was first counting out the spaces, I knew it looked very suspicious, but for some reason, I just didn't go back and double check it. Or maybe I did and I still miscounted it. No matter how the lapse of judgment came about, it still happened. It's fine though, I'm just gonna start June a little earlier with this yellow Muji pen, so to differentiate it from the May days. The perfectionism in me is kind of screaming at this big mistake, but what can I do? I don't want to just start a new page because that would be a waste of journal pages, and it's not that bad. I'm trying to let go of the perfectionism. I'm working on it. I also wanted to try out doing bubble letters for my titles this month, just to spice things up. I don't know. They feel very fun, and they're relatively simple to draw. And sometimes I do get tired of just using the same calligraphy over and over again. I think this adds a little something special to the page. I wrote exercise at the bottom of my page to kind of fill in this space, because next I will begin working on my trackers, and for this month I'm going to have them kind of span across the bottom half of these 2 pages so I can have my whole vertical set up. Actually, the tracker is going to be horizontal technically, but you'll see what I mean in a few minutes. But before we can start the trackers, it is time for my goals section. I'm using some light pink tissue paper for this title. I got this idea from Instagram, and I really like how there's a bit of lift around the edges if you only add glue down the center. Adds a bit of dimension. I found that by crumpling the tissue paper before gluing it down also helps it to be more 3D. My goal for the month of May is actually to improve upon my editing, specifically color grading. Color grading is something that I've always found to be very difficult, and I wish my college classes went more in depth about it. But my college semester is ending this month, and I want to keep learning, so I've found a few courses online and some YouTube videos about color grading, so hopefully I can learn a thing or two and improve my editing. For my trackers, once again, I am just tracking my mood and sleep. Nothing new here if you've seen my other bullet journal videos. I'm not one for making a bunch of habit trackers. I just find that I want to improve myself in general and my lifestyle as a whole. So I only track my mood and sleep, and I'm differentiating the two with these different colors I'm adding in the drop shadows. So for example, my mood is going to be tracked using points in this pink color, and then my sleep is going to be tracked using a gold color. And I decided to add a similar type of drop shadow to my exercise title because I felt like she was looking a little plain over there. I found this method of tracking my exercise to be quite helpful for me last month, so I'm sticking with the same style of calendar and just switching out the colors on the key to match my May theme better. Now on the next page, I'm not really sure what to call this spread. I haven't come up with a name for it, but basically it's a shopping list, but not really. The idea that I had for this is to have a box, and anytime that I think of something that I want to buy, whatever it may be, I write it down in here. And over the month, I will accumulate items, but I will not purchase anything. At the end of the month, the hope is that I will realize that it is unnecessary, that I have gone with this item in my box for however many weeks, but I was able to get through the entire month without needing to purchase anything. I got this idea from an organization video I saw on YouTube recently, where the idea was actually to put something in a box that you were thinking of getting rid of, but you were still unsure. So you put the item in this box and you go about your life without it. And if you come back to it at the end of the month without having thought about it, then you can accept getting rid of it, as you did not really need it in the first place. With the whole pandemic happening, for some reason I have been craving shop therapy, which is weird because I usually don't purchase things just for the sake of shopping. It might be because I have been on social media a lot more than usual, and that I see everyone enjoying their quarantine with material items, and thus it has influenced me to fill up my online shopping carts. It's quite sad that I've fallen into this trap of comparison when I know that material possessions are not things that make me particularly happy. So I'm trying to limit my social media consumption in general and focus on the things that truly make me happy. And what a great segue into my next page. Here I am making a gratitude log. I used to do gratitude pages back in my old bullet journal, but I have yet to include one in this year's setups. I think that in a time like this, it's very easy to fall into a pessimistic mindset. What's going on in the world is obviously devastating and drastically changing people's lives for the worst, but I am fortunate enough to have food and a roof over my head every day. And that's something that I need to remind myself of whenever I'm feeling down. I have so much to be grateful for, and I want to focus on appreciating the little moments in everyday life. Side note, I didn't like how this title turned out, so I tried to redo it on an index card. But, I don't know, something about this spread feels off. Like it's lacking, but maybe that's just because of the big open space, and it'll be fine when I eventually fill it in with writing, so I'm not sure. Anyway, onward to my weekly spreads. Last month I tried setting up my weekly spreads at the beginning of each week, but I quickly found that to be less convenient for my style of planning. If I had an assignment due in a few weeks, for example, I would want to plan it out how I would work towards it in the days leading up to it. But then I'd have to wait until the end of the week to do so when my next spreads have been set up. So after the first week of April, I just gave up waiting and did all my weekly spreads at once. I wasn't exactly planning on doing it all at the moment, but do you ever just get in the zone when you're journaling and not want to stop? Like when I began working on my weekly spread, I started getting a bunch of ideas for how I wanted the rest of my spreads to look. And why stop myself from pursuing those ideas there? Like what's holding me back? Myself and some dumb rule I made up? Yeah, so I caved and I did the rest of my spreads all at once. And I'm glad I did because I didn't have to worry about setting up any pages for the rest of the month. I think I actually used to set up each week separately when I first started bullet journaling. Oh, so many years ago. And I would always struggle to find time to do the spreads in advance. So when the week started, I would just write a to-do list on a sticky note or something, and when I finally got time to journal halfway through the week sometimes, I would create my cute little spread and fill in the days with my to-do list and check things off all at once. So I really was just using my journal for a creative outlet at that time, not so much for the functionality part. Now, however, I crave that perfect balance between the two. Something that's equally cute and functional. As I mentioned before, this month I am finishing up my college semester. My second year of college has ended in a very unforeseeable way, but I am more than halfway through my college experience, and that is kinda crazy to me. I am on track to graduate a year early, so next semester will be the start of my senior year. And not gonna lie, I'm a little scared for it. I'm scared for graduating college and being thrust into the big adult world, but thankfully before then, I have summer break, which may actually be a break for me this time. My spring internship is almost over, and I've been fortunate enough that I was able to transition to a remote experience now that I am no longer in LA. But I've been applying to summer positions over the past few months, and things have not been going as well as I had hoped, as one can imagine in the middle of a pandemic. But I had planned some alternatives for my summer in case I didn't end up working. Initially, I had planned on studying abroad in Japan, which would have been so much fun if I was able to travel. But with that no longer being the case, my alternative is taking some courses over the summer at my local university. I wanted to study Japanese in place of my study abroad program, so that's looking like my final decision, but it would also be really cool to take a business class or two because I've never taken anything business related before, and I think that's an area that just could be applicable to anything nowadays. But the summer session doesn't begin until June, so I actually have some time this month before I'm back to school. More free time? Oh no, whatever shall I do with it? I usually would be inclined to fill every day with something. Like I mentioned earlier, I have a few projects that I want to work on over the summer, but I think I'm going to actually take some time off and focus on my wellness. I kind of have workaholic tendencies, and sometimes I forget that I am just as susceptible to burnout as any other human being, and that sucks. So I'm going to try taking it easy for the month of May. I'm going to try to allow myself to indulge in some fun activities, hopefully without feeling too guilty for not doing something productive, quote unquote productive, whatever that means. I've been having movie nights with my family each weekend since I've been back, so that's something I'm definitely going to continue. It's been very fun, and I've also convinced my mom to rewatch the 2019 Figure Skating World Championships with me. I'm a big figure skating nerd, so that's been a lot of fun as well. And I've been wanting to replay some of my old DS games. I'm thinking Pokemon Soul Silver and Bowser's Inside Story perhaps I will replay. And maybe even the 2006 New Super Mario Brothers. Oh my gosh, my first ever DS game? I'm getting excited just talking about it. I kind of want to break out my old Nintendogs game too, but at the same time, I'm scared of seeing all my famished and starved doggies, and they probably all have fleas right now, and that's a lot. I don't know if I am willing to go back to that just to see the poor state of my dogs, but kind of been wanting to play it, not gonna lie. Outside of electronics, though, I am planning on doing a lot more cooking. I always say this whenever I'm on break and I get quote-unquote too busy with work to fully commit to it, but I really don't want to be so incompetent in the kitchen anymore. It's not cute. And that is it. I'm finally done setting up my journal for the month of May. I hope you don't mind this sort of chatty style of video. Personally, I actually enjoy these types of plan with me videos where someone just talks throughout it all about anything really. I find myself actually journaling with them as I listen to the video, and I feel like it can get boring if all I talk about is just my journaling process every month, because it doesn't differ too drastically, so I don't want to sound too repetitive. Anyway, I really like how this setup turned out. I went back to my roots with the pink, played it safe, but I am satisfied nonetheless. Thank you so much for popping by my channel today. You are amazing, and I really appreciate you. And with that, I'll see you soon. Take care.